Hello, my friends. I'm taking a break from doing some last ditch recording as this article that Ryu shared on his channel some time back that I just caught just now comes from the Washington Post. And yes, democracy dies in darkness almost every goddamn day. So, we're going to look at an article here that says a 9-year-old wanted a video game controller from his sister, so he shot her, police say. I'm going to read this and I'm going to share my $1.50 worth on this. So since my mouse wheel is kind of messed up, it can't roll anymore. I have to click roll. Okay, so this happened in Monroe County, Mississippi. Okay. A 13-year-old girl in Mississippi has died after being shot by her 9-year-old brother over a fight about video games. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Save me. Yeah, let's build up that Muso meter, shall we? For me, it's my Ikari meter. Yeah, let's build up my Ikari meter, shall we? My Muso Ikari meter. The shooting took place Saturday at about 12:30 p.m. at a home in northeast Mississippi. Monroe County Sheriff Cecil Cantrell told the Washington Post on Monday. Cantrell, who happened to be in the area and was the first officer to respond, said he arrived to a scene he'll never forget. The siblings had been in a bedroom playing a video game, while those were elsewhere in the home. There's your problem right there. Cantrell said, citing his interviews with the family, including with the 9-year-old boy. At some point, the boy wanted the video game controller from his sister, but she wouldn't give it to him, Cantrell said. Okay. Let's roll it down. The little boy, he managed to get a gun out of the nightstand there in the room there. And he just came over and shot her, Cantrell said. I've been in law enforcement 30 some odd years. I never dealt with anything quite like this, not with children. The 13-year-old was taken to a hospital in Amory, Mississippi, a city in Monroe County, then flown to Le Bonheur Children's Hospital, Memphis, about 130 miles away, the sheriff said. Children under fire. Almost 2 dozen kids are shot every day in the U.S. This 4-year-old was one of them. Over the weekend, Cantrell told local media outlets that the bullet entered the girl's brain from the back of her head. She died at the Memphis hospital Sunday, WTVA News reported. The sheriff did not identify the family. Cantrell said that the investigation is ongoing, and that officials will confirm Monday about whether there was any negligence on the part of the parents. That's what we're going to be looking at today, to see if there's any charges that need to be brought against the parents, he told the Post. Anything's possible. We're looking at every possible scenario. I'm not going to read what Trump has to say. Cantrell said that physical evidence at the scene corroborated to a T what the 9-year-old said had happened. And Cantrell did not say whether the boy will be charged or whether he understands the severity of what occurred. I talked to him. and asked him what happened. And he said what he did. Cantrell said, at the time, you're talking to a little boy that's 9 years old. I think a lot of this goes back to these games, you know, where you hit the reset button where everybody's okay. I'm sorry, this is not Undertale. 12 seconds of gunfire. First graders are haunted by what they survived and lost on a school playground. In a phone interview Monday, Cantrell repeatedly called the situation a tragedy, one he had hoped never to encounter again. I never dealt with children shooting each other, Cantrell said. That's about the only thing I can say at this point. According to a 2017 report in the medical journal Pediatrics, firearm-related injuries are the third leading cause of death for children between the ages of 1 and 17 in the U.S. From 2012 to 14, an average of 1,297 children in the United States died each year from a firearm-related injury, these studies showed. Analyzing data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, the Post editorial board found that on average 23 children were shot each day in the U.S. in 2015. Of the approximately 8,400 shootings, 1,458 were fatal, a death toll that exceeds the entire number of U.S. military fatalities. U.S. military fatalities in Afghanistan this decade. I ain't signing up for that kind of shit. Okay, first off, let me just say, now speaking from a gamer point of view, and many of us are gamers. First off, let's just look at this, okay? Now, first off, the problem is you're dealing with a kid who is basically a brat, but he took it too far in grabbing a gun that was just there, I think, or he found, and decided to shoot his sister with it just to get a goddamn controller. First off, let me just say that, well, if you're a kid and you want your turn, you got two things you can do. You say please, or you wait. And you're dealing with somebody who has dealt with kids before. Remember, former teacher. And the one thing I would really say, and I do mean it, the one thing I would really say about this is, you better not blame video games for this kind of shit. That's the last thing that's the very last thing I want to hear. That you have to say that video games are what causes kids to go violent these days. First off, no. I'm sorry, but if you're a kid and you're going to shoot your sister in the face over a goddamn video game controller, you ought to get your head examined. Because, really, that's no good! That's what it is. It really is. It really is no good. Because, again, this is a serious issue we got that needs to be reprimanded. This is a serious problem that parents really do need to I don't know what's the term for it. They need to pay attention. This is a wake up call. This is a very big, very strong wake up call. If you do not pay attention to what your kids are doing, you are going to lose them. This is moronic parenting at its finest. Because from what I read, one thing is for certain, where were the fucking parents? Seriously, where were the fucking parents when all this was going down? This is negligence right here. This is true negligence. You do not do that. If you're going to be a responsible parent, then the one thing you should do is you should keep an eye on your kids. If you hear something is going on, act. You do not wait until this happened, you know. You don't wait until, oh my God. You don't do that. Another thing you just don't do is, if you say that video games is the cause of this problem, oh, no. Video games are not the cause of this problem right here. It's negligence. Because first off, the argument is over a controller. B, why the hell would you have a gun in the proximity of children? You know that's a problem right there. That's a red flag. That's a blood red flag if I have ever seen one. And I ain't talking about Rally X either. I mean, this is negligence. There are a lot of red flags here. You got arguing for one thing over something pointless. And yet you got a firearm in the proximity of a child who basically uses it, probably doesn't even know it's armed. Or if he does, he shot her because of he wants his turd. Oh, you think I'm pissed? Oh, I am far, far from pissed with this. And then, you know, the sheriff is doing his job. The first, and this shocks him, and I'm like, well, I'd be shocked too. It's like, if it were me, I'm like, okay, how did this happen? They were playing, what game were they playing? Or what game was it? What was the game that they were playing? And he probably wanted to have a turn because he wanted to try it. Sister said, no, I'm not done yet. I can possibly see that. I really can. I can possibly see that happening. That she probably said, it's not your turn yet. I haven't lost, so therefore you have to wait. She probably handled it that way. They probably threw a hissy fit, and then, I don't know, one thing led to another. Found the gun, aimed it at her, and boom. Headshot. No. The fact that this was over a video game. The fact that the parents were not present. Were not accountable for. This is the stuff that pisses me off. This is the stuff right here. That really, this does not depress me one bit. I know Ryu said he's depressed by it, but to me, no. This just pisses me right the fuck off. This really makes my blood boil, and not in a good way. This makes me go off into freaking Tenkai rage. More Tenkai rage than I went through in Seven Samurai 20XX. You'll see when I post it. This is one thing that I can say. Parents just need to be really, really responsible. I've seen far too many idiot parents at GameStop, and they can't handle their goddamn kids, and they're hurried parents. They're like, they don't want to deal with these kids. They're like, I don't want to deal with you. I want you to take this game and I'll buy it for you. Something that is more likely to their age than what you see now. But it's kind of hard to, because they usually see their older siblings play it and they want to try it out for themselves. To me, I say this: if you're a parent and you have to go through this shit at GameStop, take them out. Don't bring them to GameStop. They're too young for it. I've seen too many parents go and buy some spoiled kid a game that they know they cannot handle, yet they want it anyway. And they bend. They bend far too many times for this kind of shit to happen. This involving not a video game, but a controller. And this kind of parenting is unacceptable. I mean, if you're not going to be responsible for having children, then my God, don't fuck. That's all I can say. Just don't fuck. Jack and Jill yourselves off to high heaven. But my God, if you're not ready for being a parent, then just don't do it, okay? Yeah, I can say right there. You blame violent video games and movies for shaping young people's thoughts. Okay, first off, let me tell you about me when I grew up. Okay? Now, when I was younger, like say when I was a kid, like around, oh, say 5 or 6 years old, I rented an anime that I had no idea what it was about because I was just curious, and I rented two of them, and they were Fist of the North Star and Go-Go 13, the professional. And this was back in the day in which we had VHS. Okay, so I took the tape out of its jacket, put it in the VHS, and I remember it plain as day. It was dark. I sat real close to the TV. I remember plain as day when I was looking at Fist of the North Star. I saw versus the Kenshiro versus Shin fight. The first encounter where he got the marks of the Big Dipper on his chest. I literally stopped. I ran right after I took the tape out. And I was saying, what the hell? And, I was like, what was that? I was really freaked out by that. And also, what happened was, I watched a bit of Gogol 13, also when I was a kid. And the one thing I remember was that I saw somebody get shot, and a flat out headshot, and what, just plain out silence. I basically stared at it, and the very next day, I took him right back. Let's see. It traumatized me for plenty number of years, up until I got in my 20s, and I started watching the entirety of Hokuto no Ken, the series, and the movie. Then I remembered I got it on my system. I matured. I can watch this. I also decided to watch Devilman. Devilman. It was not Devilman. It was I'm on Apocalypse of Devilman, and it was there I saw the most gruesome death ever known. And not to mention the fact I saw a kid actually piss himself and died while he pissed himself. And he died by a freaking arrow to the head. Then I saw, a couple years later, Gogol 13, The Professional, and Queen Bee. I kind of like, I can say that was pretty, it's Gogol 13. I mean, come on now. I've watched the series, the movies, but I haven't watched the live action movie yet. And yet I have a lot of movies. A lot I have a lot of movies that sometimes have a lot of violence in it. Well, not a lot of movies, but I have a very thin number of movies that have violence in it. But it doesn't affect me. And sure, I've done a few M-rated games on my channel that had violence in them, like Sleeping Dogs and the first two Yakuza games. But again, they have not affected me. It is not a problem about video games. No. Cuz see, he can say, we can blame video games for shaping people's own thoughts, but I say no. The thing is, it's not about the media. It's not about the media that we grew up with. I can say I've watched a lot of anime. I've watched a lot of not just anime, but I've watched a lot of programming in which violence, it varies. It can be mild or it can be pretty hardcore. And if you grew up in the 80s, there were a lot of violence. There were a lot of, violent shows on TV, but they weren't like extra heavy, like hardcore violence. But they were mild and strong, but not hardcore. But I can also say that this is not about the violence that's in the media. So you could say video games, but come on now. In the media, TV, movies, even in anime, in cartoons, American cartoons, there's violence. But at the same time, as you're saying this, you're also saying we have to blame violence because of this kind of shit? No. No, you don't blame violence for this kind of shit. No. In this situation, parents. The parents aren't doing their damn job. Okay? The parents aren't doing their damn job. That's what it really boils down to. If the parents do not teach their children what's right and what's wrong, what's real and make believe, you're not doing your job. You are not doing your job. If you are a parent and you are not doing your job as trying to teach your own children the basics about what's right and what's wrong, what's real, what's fiction, you do not, and you're not teaching your children to get along, to share, even as far as, say, well, wait until your sister is done. If not that, then show your brother how to play this game. If you cannot wait, then at least watch what your sister's doing before you want to play this game. But this is the problem we got. This is the problem that we have today. This is one of the biggest problems that we have, because you have some parents that are morons. You do not teach your kids the right thing to do. It's like it's like this. You give the new father and mother an instruction manual and then just say bye. You just don't do that. For me, I say the real crime is negligence. And I'm going to keep saying it in this video. It is negligence. That is the true crime around here. Because if you're not doing your job as a parent to act, to do something, to prevent something, that is what you're not doing as a parent. You should not be a parent if you're not going to act. If you're not going to prevent something, if you're not preventing anything, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing as what it is that is required of being a parent, that means you have to protect what is precious to you. Your children should be the most precious thing on this planet Earth, and you should want to do so. While they're young, you're supposed to protect them. You're supposed to guide them. You're supposed to watch them. You know why every kid always says, "Watch me, mommy, watch me, daddy"? They want you to watch them. They want you to notice them. It's something that is needed because we know the world is messed up. We know the world is janked to hell and back. And the world is an angry place because we have morons in office. And even more, we have morons that just don't know what to do in a situation. I'm going to end off like this. And hopefully be a good note. So, to those listening to this video, first and foremost, to any parent out there, watch your kids. I do mean that in the most heartfelt, state that I am right now. Yes, I am angry. I am upset. I am not depressed by this. No, I am pissed. And I'm letting it be known that this is something you don't do. Don't neglect your children. No matter what you're doing, do not neglect your children. You watch them. You be with them. Be part of their lives. Not just sit them down and watch them kill and just let them kill themselves. It's called negligence. That's what you're doing. That's a crime within itself. And if you're not going to be a responsible parent, then turn yourselves in. I'm serious. Think about what you're doing. If you're bringing a life into the world, then you are held responsible for guiding that life, for protecting it, making sure that it doesn't become a lemming. Do what is responsible. If you're a parent, you be strong. You stand. You make yourself be known. Love your children. Teach your children. Guide your children the right way and not the wrong way. Talk to them. Nothing wrong with talking to them. Because let me tell you something. When they grow up, you want to be proud of the creation that you were a part of in creating. That's all I'm going to say about that. And once again, my thanks to Ryu for sharing this article. Please, by all means, for those out there, share this article. Whether it's on Facebook, on Twitter, it doesn't matter what. It's like Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, whatever you have. Do share this and don't stop sharing this. This word needs to be passed around, and it's not about the video games. It's not about it's not about that. It's about parenting. That's what it's really about. It's about being responsible, and whoever this family is, they're gonna learn the hard way. You keep an eye on things. You're supposed to keep an eye on things. When things just don't seem right, you act. You intervene. That's what you do. As a parent, you have the right to intervene. And intervene if you need to, if it can bring peace, if it can bring an understanding, if it can bring love. That's what it's all about. I'm going back to recording because, yeah, I'm done here. This is your supposedly friendly neighborhood Tenkaichi. I'll see you next time, and hopefully I do not get to read something as horrible as this article is. I'm done.